Her phone lit up at 3 a.m., his name flashing across the screen. Not mine. That's when I knew she wasn't just my wife, she was his too. If this story stirred something in your heart, give it a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to Revenge Forge, where every story reminds us that pain can lead to power. I'm Eric Landon, 40, a project manager at a marketing firm in Chicago, Illinois. My life looked like a glossy ad, sharp, vibrant, damn near flawless. My wife, Nina, 33, was a stunner, quick-witted with a smile that could close a deal and eyes that burned through you. We met 8 years ago at a networking event in the Loop. I was pitching a campaign. She was charming a room of execs, her confidence a magnet. By the end of the night, we were sharing cocktails, laughing over bad pitches and worse clients. 2 years later, we married on a Lake Michigan rooftop, her vows catching the city's skyline, promising a life of trust and fire. Our condo in River North was our fortress. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the Chicago River, a kitchen island where we'd argue over who made better pasta. I earned $200,000 a year overseeing campaigns for a firm pulling in $50 million annually. Nina was our lead strategist, her knack for client relations landing us accounts from New York to LA. We were unstoppable, me the engine behind the projects, her the spark that sold them. Weekends were for jazz bars, rooftop dinners, or just us tangled in bed planning a future with kids in a lake house. But even the tightest seams fray. It started subtle like a shadow on a proof. Nina's late nights at the office stretched past 11 p.m., then midnight. She'd slip in her perfume, a heady mix of vanilla and musk, clinging like a stranger's touch. Client dinners, she'd say, her eyes dodging mine. I trusted her. She was the woman who danced with me in a summer storm, who'd stayed up when my mom had a cancer scare. But trust is a thin wire and doubt cuts deep. One night I was up at 2 a.m. finalizing a campaign deck. Her phone left on the counter buzzed. A text. Can't stop thinking about you. No name, just a number. My chest tightened, but I didn't touch it. Not yet. I told myself it was a client, a misunderstanding. But the next morning she was off, distracted, her fingers flying over her phone, a secret smile curling her lips. She left without her usual kiss, her heels clicking like a warning shot. Weeks bled into each other. Nina started locking her phone, a new passcode I didn't know. She'd take calls in the bathroom, the faucet running to mask her voice. At work she skipped our lunch breaks, her office door always shut. I noticed her with Martin Alcott, 37, our new head of client development. She'd hired him 6 months ago, calling him a closer. I'd met him at a company mixer, his suit was sharp, his grin too smooth, his eyes lingering on Nina like she was his next deal. I didn't trust him, but I trusted her. Until I couldn't. I'm not the possessive type. I manage projects, solve problems, keep things tight. But I'm not blind. So I started watching. Her bank account linked to mine showed charges I didn't recognize: $600 at a boutique hotel, $400 at a rooftop lounge. No client meetings those nights, just work. Her calendar was blank. My gut screamed, but I needed proof. I called Rachel, a friend from business school who now ran a private investigation firm. We met at a diner in Wicker Park, the smell of grease and coffee thick. Rachel was all business, her notepad ready. What's the deal? Eric, she asked, her voice low. I think Nina's cheating, I said, the words bitter. With Martin Alcott, I need to know. Rachel nodded, no pity. Give me 10 days, I'll get you answers. 7 days later, she sent a file. Photos: Nina and Martin at a bar, his hand on her thigh, her lips brushing his ear. Another of them slipping into a hotel elevator, her dress clinging to her curves, his tie loose. Texts from a burner phone. You're all I need. Tomorrow. Nina's reply. You're dangerous, Martin. I'm yours. My hands shook, the screen blurring. It wasn't just an affair, it was a blade to my back. But there was more. At work, Nina was stealing my thunder. Our latest campaign, my strategy, my late nights, was pitched as her breakthrough in a board meeting. I overheard her tell investors, Eric's great with logistics, but I'm the vision. The room nodded, impressed. I stood outside unseen, my fists clenched. She wasn't just breaking our vows, she was erasing my work. I could have stormed in, called her out. But I'm a manager, control is my game. Years ago, I'd built a backdoor into our firm's project management system, a hidden key only I could access. It was insurance, a way to protect my work from corporate politics. Now it was my ace. One command and I could freeze every campaign, every client portal. Nina's world would stall. I didn't act yet. I needed more. So I hacked into Martin's work email, exploiting a server glitch I'd never reported. What I found was worse than I imagined. Nina and Martin weren't just lovers. They were planning to sell my campaign strategy to a rival firm for $1.5 million. Emails detailed their scheme, pitch my work as theirs, push me out as redundant. They'd even drafted a memo announcing my transition to a consulting role. I was being written off. Then came the first twist. Rachel called at 10 p.m. "Eric, you're not gonna like this." She sent another file. Photos of Martin, but not with Nina. With my best friend Jake Turner, 39, my college roommate who'd been my best man. They were at a bar, heads close, Jake's hand on Martin's arm. A text from Jake to Martin. "Keep Eric in the dark. We'll split the cut." My best friend in on the heist. My world tilted. Jake, who'd crashed on my couch after his divorce, who'd toasted to my marriage, was he betraying me too? I didn't confront him. I needed answers. I met Rachel the next day, rain streaking the diner windows. "Jake's involved," she said, handing me a USB drive. "He's been feeding Martin your project plans. Looks like he's getting a 20% cut." Why, I asked, my voice raw. "He's my brother." Rachel shrugged her eyes steady. "Money. Envy. You've got the life he wanted." Jake had always been the charmer, but his career stalled while mine soared. Was he resentful? I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was ironclad. I drove home, the Chicago River glinting under the streetlights. Nina was there, cooking a rare move, the smell of garlic and basil, a cruel echo of better days. She smiled, her eyes too bright. "Thought we'd have a night in," she said, pouring wine. I played along my face, a mask. "Looks good." She leaned in, her lips brushing my cheek, her perfume heavy. For a moment I saw the woman I'd loved, the one who'd laughed with me during a power outage, who'd held me when my mom was sick. Then I saw Martin's texts, Jake's betrayal. The moment shattered. Over dinner, she dropped a bomb. "Eric, I've been thinking," she said, swirling her wine, her dress catching the candlelight. "Maybe you should take a break from the firm. Focus on projects, not the stress. Martin's got big ideas." "Martin's ideas," I said, keeping my tone even, my blood boiling. She nodded, oblivious. "He's a visionary. We need that to scale." Visionary. My strategy was the vision. I wanted to slam the table, demand the truth. Instead, I smiled. "I'll think about it." That night, I accessed the back door. A few keystrokes and I could freeze their world. But I held off. I needed to know Jake's full role, the scope of their plan. I texted Rachel, "Dig into Jake. I want everything." The next morning, Nina left early, her perfume trailing. I sat at my desk, the city waking outside. My phone buzzed, a text from Jake. "Yo man, let's grab drinks tonight. Miss you." I stared at it, my pulse pounding. Was this a trap, or a chance I had one move left before I pulled the trigger? The Chicago rain lashed against my windshield as I stared at Jake's text. "Yo man, let's grab drinks tonight. Miss you." My best friend scheming with Martin to sell my work, acting like we were still brothers. Nina's perfume still hung in the condo, a cruel reminder of the life she was unraveling. I didn't reply to Jake. I poured a scotch, the burn sharpening my focus, and opened my laptop. The back door to the firm's project management system glowed like a hidden dagger. One command could freeze every campaign, every client portal, leaving Nina and Martin with nothing to sell. But I wasn't ready to strike. I needed to expose every thread of their web, Jake, Martin, Nina, and whoever else was weaving it. I called Rachel at 6 a.m. Her voice clipped but alert. "Jake's in on it," I said, keeping my tone steady. "He's feeding Martin my plans. I need more his motive, his cut, any other players." Rachel didn't hesitate. "On it, Eric. Give me 48 hours. While she dug, I reached out to Tara, a former strategist at the firm who'd left a year ago after Nina undermined her. Tara was 38, all sharp instincts and no patience for games. We met at a coffee shop in Logan Square, the smell of espresso and wet pavement thick in the air. I handed her a USB drive with Rachel's evidence, photos of Nina and Martin, emails about selling my campaign strategy, Jake's texts tying him to the scheme. "They're planning to sell my work for $1.5 million, I said. "Jake's getting a cut." Tara's eyes narrowed as she scrolled through the files. "Nina's always been ruthless," she said, her voice low. "She pushed me out when I questioned her client deals. But Jake, that's a new low." "There's more," I said. "They're pitching to a rival firm, Horizon Media in New York. Meetings tomorrow at the Standard Hotel. I need to know their next move." Tara leaned back, her coffee cooling. I've got a contact at Horizon, let me dig. By noon, Tara texted back the meeting was set for 7 p.m., a private suite at the Standard. Nina and Martin were prepping a polished pitch, my campaign strategy rebranded as their game changer. But Tara's contact dropped a bombshell. Martin was working a side deal. If Horizon passed, he had a backup buyer, a boutique agency in Boston ready to pay $1 million, no questions asked. Nina was in the dark about it. Martin was double-crossing her. I dove into Martin's digital trail using the backdoor to access his firm email. His security was sloppy, predictable passwords, no two-factor. I found a thread with a name I didn't expect: Claire Donovan, 42, our CFO. She'd always been reserved, all numbers and no warmth, but her emails to Martin were cold and precise. Keep Landon out. Horizon's the priority, but Boston's our fallback. Nina's too volatile, she'll crack. Martin's reply: don't worry, Claire. She's under control. Claire, the CFO, in on the heist. My pulse hammered. This wasn't just an affair or a theft, it was a syndicate. I forwarded the emails to Tara, who cursed over the phone. Claire's always been sketchy, she said. She's got her hands in every budget. This is her exit plan. What's her angle? I asked, pacing the condo, the Chicago River glinting outside. Cash, Tara said. She's got a side hustle, real estate flips gone bad. Selling your strategy clears her debts and funds her escape. I needed more. I called Rachel. Look into Claire Donovan, CFO. She's working with Martin and Nina. Rachel whistled. This is a snake pit, Eric. I'll need time. Make it fast, I said. They're pitching tomorrow. That night, Nina came home at 10 p.m., her heels clicking, her perfume a sultry fog. She kissed my cheek, her lips cold, her dress clinging to her like a second skin. Big day tomorrow, she said, pouring wine. New York trip. Horizon's a big fish. Horizon, huh? I said, playing dumb, my heart pounding. Sounds huge. She smiled, but it was hollow. Could set us up for life. She leaned in, her hand brushing mine, her eyes catching the light. For a second, I saw the woman who'd danced with me in a summer rain, who'd held me when my mom was sick. Then I saw Martin's texts, Jake's betrayal, Claire's emails. The illusion shattered. I didn't sleep. I worked tightening the tracking script I'd planted. Every email, every file Nina and Martin touched, I saw. By 3 a.m. I had their pitch deck, my campaign strategy dressed up with Nina's charm and Martin's sales spin. They'd even mocked up a new brand, Alcott Innovations. My work, their name. Then Rachel called, her voice urgent. Got something on Claire. She's not just in on it. She's been skimming from the firm for years. $300,000 funneled to a shell account in the Caribbean. Martin's her front, but Nina's clueless about the scope. I gripped my desk, the city lights blurring. What about Jake? He's deeper than you thought, Rachel said. He's been meeting with Claire for months. Emails show he's getting a 15% cut of the Boston deal. But here's the twist, he's also been talking to a lawyer, planning to leak the deal to regulators if Martin and Nina don't pay him more. Jake, not just a traitor, but a double-crosser. My stomach churned, but I pushed it down. Send me everything, I said. Rachel did. And there it was, Jake's emails to a lawyer outlining a plan to expose the deal for a bigger payout. He wasn't just in on it. He was playing them all. I met Tara at her apartment, a cozy space with art prints and a dog that nudged my hand. Jake's planning to screw them over, I said, showing her the emails. He's working with Claire, but he's got his own exit. Tara's jaw tightened. Your buddy's a piece of work. What's the plan? We don't freeze the system, I said. We expose them at Horizon's meeting. All of them. The next morning, I flew to New York, Tara at my side. Nina left early, her perfume lingering like a warning. She thought I was at the office, buried in reports. The Standard Hotel was all sleek lines and city buzz, the kind of place Nina owned. She was in her element, her emerald dress catching every eye, her smile a weapon. Martin stood beside her, his suit sharp, his grin smug. Claire was there too, her presence quiet but commanding, her eyes scanning the room. The Horizon execs, 3 suits with cold gazes, sat at a glass table sipping martinis. I slipped in, Tara blending into the crowd of creatives. We'd hacked the guest list, posing as consultants. Nina's pitch was flawless. Our campaign redefines marketing, bold, scalable hours. Martin chimed in, all charm with your investment. We'll dominate the East Coast. My strategy, their lies. I stood, my voice cutting through the hum. Before you sign, you should know the truth. Nina's eyes locked on mine, her face paling. Martin's smile vanished. Claire's hand froze on her glass. Eric, Nina said, her voice tight. This isn't the time. It's exactly the time, I said, plugging my laptop into the projector. The screen lit up emails between Nina Martin and Claire plotting to sell my strategy. Bank records of Claire's $300,000 theft. Jake's texts tying him to the scheme. And a wire transfer Jake to Claire $10,000 labeled consulting fee. The room went silent. One of the Horizon execs, a man with a gray beard, leaned forward. "Explain this, Miss Landon." Nina stammered, her charm crumbling. "It's a misunderstanding. Eric's upset. Personal issues?" "No," I said, my voice steel. "You stole my work. Claire's been skimming $300,000. Martin's your front man. And Jake, he's planning to leak this deal to regulators for a bigger cut." Martin tried to interrupt. "This is absurd." "Absurd." I cut in, clicking to the next slide. Jake's lawyer emails Claire's Caribbean account. "You built your pitch on my strategy. You're done." The gray-bearded exec stood, his face hard. "We don't deal with liars." He nodded to his team and they walked out, their martinis untouched. Nina's eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing. Martin grabbed his jacket, muttering excuses. Claire slipped out, her composure cracking. I didn't stay to gloat. I walked out, Tara behind me, the New York rain cold on my skin. But there was one more twist. As I reached my car, Jake was waiting, his face pale, his hands shaking. "Eric, we need to talk." "You're out of chances," I said, my voice cold. "It's not what you think," he said, his voice breaking. "Claire forced me. She's got dirt on me, bad loans, failed deals. I didn't want to hurt you." I stared at him, the friend I'd trusted, the man who'd sold me out. "You chose this," I said. "Own it." He reached for me, but I stepped back. "Eric, please." "Stay away," I said, getting into my car. As I drove off, my phone buzzed. "Rachel, Claire's making a move. She's meeting the Boston buyer tomorrow. Nina's out, but Jake's going with her." The game wasn't over. They weren't done. Neither was I. The New York rain soaked through my jacket as I drove away from Jake's trembling silhouette, his excuses fading into the city's roar. My best friend, Nina, Martin, Claire, they'd spun a net of lies to ensnare me, each thread woven to steal my work, my name, my life. But I wasn't caught. I was Eric Landon, and I'd turned their trap into their undoing. Rachel's text about Claire's meeting with the Boston buyer, with Jake tagging along, was a flare in the dark. They thought they could slip away, but I was already closing in. Back in Chicago, I locked myself in the condo, the Chicago River glinting like a blade through the windows. My laptop hummed the backdoor code, a silent weapon I hadn't fired. One command could freeze the firm's project management system, every campaign, every client portal, leaving Claire and Jake with nothing to sell. But I wanted more than a crash. I wanted truth, cold and cutting, to shred their deception. I called Rachel at 5 a.m., her voice sharp despite the hour. "Claire's meeting the Boston buyer tonight," I said. "Some outfit called Beacon Strategies. Jake's with her. I need the where, the when, and their pitch." "Got it," Rachel said. "Beacon's known for buying hot IP, no questions asked. I'll have something by noon." While she worked, I met Tara at a diner in Bucktown, the smell of coffee and bacon grounding me. I showed her Rachel's latest file, Claire's Caribbean account, Jake's double-cross plan, the Boston deal. "They've cut Nina out," I said. "Claire's running the show now." Tara's eyes narrowed, her mug pausing mid-sip. "Nina's out. That's savage. What's the move?" "We don't freeze the system," I said, my voice steady. "We expose them to Beacon. If they lose this, they're done." Tara grinned fierce. "You're a steel trap, Landon. I'm in." Rachel delivered by 10 a.m., texting a location, a private club in Boston's Back Bay, 8 p.m. Claire and Jake were pitching my campaign strategy as their own, promising Beacon a clean product for $1 million. But Rachel had more. "Claire's desperate," she said over the phone. "She's been dodging IRS audits. That $300,000 she skimmed, half went to cover tax debts, the rest to Beacon as a deposit. If this deal fails, she's exposed." "And Jake?" I asked, my jaw tight. "He's sinking," Rachel said. "Claire's got him on a leash, threatened to leak his bad loans to creditors if he doesn't play ball. But he's still scheming. He's got a burner phone, texting a whistleblower about the deal. My best friend, always the hustler, planning to betray his own betrayers." I didn't feel pity, just a cold resolve. I called Ethan, a former IT guy at the firm pushed out by Claire for flagging budget issues. Ethan was 40 sharp as a tack, with a grudge to match. We met at his loft, a cluttered space with servers and vinyl records. I showed him the evidence, Claire's accounts, Jake's texts, the Boston pitch. "I need you to help me end this," I said. Ethan's eyes glinted. "Claire ruined my career. I'm all in." We moved fast. Ethan hacked into Claire's cloud drive, pulling the final pitch deck, my campaign strategy rebranded with Jake's name slapped on it. Tara secured us access to the club, calling in a favor from a bartender friend. By 6 p.m., we were on a flight to Boston, the city's lights piercing the dusk. I wore a suit, the first since my wedding, my laptop tucked under my arm. Tara and Ethan flanked me, our faces set the city humming below. The Back Bay Club was all dark wood and leather, a haven for Boston's elite. Claire was there, her tailored blazer sharp, her smile calculated. Jake stood beside her, his eyes darting, his tie slightly crooked. The Beacon execs, 2 men in crisp suits, their watches glinting, sat at a mahogany table sipping bourbon. Nina was gone, erased like a bad draft. Claire's pitch was smooth, her voice steady. Our campaign is unmatched, bold, scalable, ready for market. Jake nodded, playing the loyal partner, his grin forced. They showcased my strategy, my late nights, my work, dressed up as their triumph. I stood, my voice slicing through the haze. Before you buy, gentlemen, you should know what you're really getting. Claire's eyes snapped to mine, her face paling. Jake froze, his glass trembling. The Beacon execs raised their eyebrows, intrigued. Eric, Claire said, her voice tight but calm. This is a private meeting. Not anymore, I said, plugging my laptop into the projector. The screen lit up emails between Claire and Jake, plotting to sell my strategy. Bank records of Claire's $300,000 theft. Jake's burner phone texts planning his whistleblower leak. And my project logs time-stamped, proving every plan was mine. The room went still, the air heavy. One of the Beacon execs, a man with a salt and pepper beard, leaned forward. This true, Miss Donovan. Claire stammered, her poise cracking. It's a misunderstanding. Eric's disgruntled. Personal issues. No, I said, my voice steel. You stole my work, skimmed $300,000 from our firm. Jake's playing you, planning to leak this deal for a bigger cut. Jake's face went white. Eric, you're wrong. Am I? I cut in, clicking to the next slide, his whistleblower texts clear as day. The Beacon execs exchanged glances, their faces hardening. Claire tried to salvage it, her voice rising. This is a setup. Eric's sabotaging us. Sabotaging, I snapped, my tone cold. You built your pitch on my strategy, you're done. The salt and pepper exec stood, his voice low. We don't deal with thieves. He nodded to his partner, and they walked out, their bourbon untouched. Claire's shoulders slumped, her empire crumbling. Jake grabbed his jacket, muttering, You'll regret this, Eric. But his voice was weak, defeated. I didn't linger. I walked out, Tara and Ethan behind me, the Boston rain cold on my skin. Back in Chicago, I found Nina's things gone, her closet bare. A note on the counter. I'm sorry, Eric. I broke us. I tore it up, the pieces falling like ash. But there was one final twist. The next morning, Rachel called. Claire's running, she said. She's liquidating firm assets, trying to disappear. But Jake, he's flipped. He's talking to the board, offering to testify against Claire for immunity. I leaned back, the Chicago River steady outside. Jake, always the survivor, throwing Claire under the bus to save himself. I didn't call him. I didn't need his version of the truth. Instead, I met Tara and Ethan at the diner, the smell of coffee grounding me. Claire's done, I said, showing them Rachel's latest file. She's selling off firm assets to cover her tracks. Tara grinned fierce. Then we stop her, for good. We didn't freeze the system. We went public. Ethan leaked our evidence to the board, the press, even dropping snippets on Reddit stories where marketing pros tore into Claire's scheme. The story exploded, trending as a cautionary tale of corporate greed. Claire was fired by noon, her reputation in tatters. Jake vanished, likely hiding from his own debts. Nina surfaced in New York, working a low-level consulting gig, her charm no match for her ruined name. The firm survived. Tara and I rebuilt, bringing Ethan on as our new tech lead. We launched a new campaign, my strategy at its core, no backdoors needed. My salary stayed at $200,000, but the firm's revenue climbed to $60 million, my legacy secure. Months later, I stood on my balcony, the Chicago skyline shimmering under a rare, clear sky. My phone buzzed, an investor interested in our new campaign. I smiled, not for the money, but for the man I'd become. Nina's affair, Jake's betrayal, Claire's greed, they'd tried to break me. But I'd forged something stronger. So what would you have done? Exposed them like I did, or walked away letting their lies fester? Sometimes I wonder if I should have let go sooner, spared my heart the scars. What do you think? You're here because this story meant something? Don't scroll away without leaving a thought and your subscription. Revenge Forge is where real stories find their voice and yours.